It's time for Mornings at 8 with Jonathan Mark on AM 1480 WLEA.
Well, yes, it is time for Mornings at 8, and here we are, 5 minutes after 8 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. Wednesday, halfway through the week, so hang in there. You know, you can't miss Wednesdays. It's always parked right between Tuesday and Thursday, right smack in the middle of the week, so there's Wednesday for you. Well, let me see it's beautiful here on Ashbaugh Hill. I mean, it's really nice up here. However, in the valley, there are low clouds and fog and all that, but it will burn off and we're going to have another really nice day. Well, let me see here. Coming into work this morning at 7 o'clock, crews are still working on whatever went wrong with the water there on Route 21, just west of the West Main Street Bridge in Hornell. So the road is down to one lane still. So if you're driving over there, just be advised that it's down to one lane again. Well, let me see here. What's going on here? Well, as you heard, Brian, the Arkboard Village Board met last night, and still no movement on whether the board will appeal a judge's recent ruling that the property on 36, you know where those storage units are. Well, Margaret Horan, the former Arkboard Village clerk, sued because the village board said that the property was zoned agricultural, and she claims it had been designated commercial even before she purchased it, and it was back in 1995. So the judge ruled it was commercial. It wasn't agricultural. And the board says, we're going to appeal, but we're not quite sure at this point. We still want a little more input. So they plan an informational meeting at some point. That hasn't been decided yet. So that issue is still up in the air, and that's what's going on in Ark. Oh, by the way, the entire story. Our own Bill Dugan was at the meeting last night with her handy video camera, so you can see a video of the meeting and read the whole story on our webpage. The page, of course, is WLEA.net. So if you want to find out more, there it is.
And not to be shamelessly self-promotional, but it has video too.
Oh, video too? Oh, that's right. Well, the video camera, that's right. Hey. Okay, very good. And Bill is really good about that. When he goes to meetings, he has the video camera right there, and you can see and hear what happened. It's nice. And another thing, too, about a video camera is if you have a news story and you say, well, so-and-so said this, and they said, no, I didn't, you can always say, well, here it is. It's right there, you know. That's what video cameras and tape recorders are for.
I remember in years past, and this is going back a ways before the website, let me put it that way, people would call up and say, did you have a story this morning that said this or that? Right. Sometimes it would be the politician. Sometimes it would be a neighbor of somebody who had heard a story, or the person in the story themselves, and they'd say, did it say this? Did it say that? Now nobody does that because whatever's on the air is on the website. Right.
It has enhanced reporting a lot, and that's why I always had a tape recorder on me.
So nobody calls with those kinds of questions, or very seldom anyways.
Right. So you can't say, I didn't say that, because, well, here you are saying it. So what do you say? Okay, fine. Where are we here? Oh, also, as you heard on the news, Governor Cuomo has scrapped the plan to charge New Yorkers for new license plates. Yay and yippee. So anyway, he's pulled back on that. The original plan was, let me see, it's here in front of me. The governor's plan was scheduled to take effect this coming spring. In addition to the $25 replacement fee, drivers who wanted to keep their old plate numbers would have to pay $20. So that'd be 25 and 20 is bing for $45. So the governor has pulled back on that plan, and by a tally of 60% to 31, New Yorkers were against requiring drivers to replace those plates, according to a Siena survey. So he's pulled back on that. So there you go. That's good, I think. And what else? What else is going on here in New York? Oh, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, I think their opening home game is this Sunday against Cincinnati at the Bengals at the New Era Field. Well, anybody who has been to a Buffalo Bills game knows that the fans can get just a little rowdy. But apparently they are cracking down, officials there at the stadium and the Bills. They're cracking down on fan rowdiness. Who is this? Andy Major. He's the Bills' Vice President of Operations and Guest Experience. And he says, not long ago, we averaged 30 in-stadium arrests per game. 30 in-stadium arrests per game and 140 ejections a game. And last year, well, that was a couple of years ago, last year we averaged 3 arrests and 46 ejections a game. He says, we're not perfect, we know that, but a small amount of fans can be irresponsible and drink too much. There's always a few knuckleheads out there, that's what he said, knuckleheads out there who will make it bad for the family. So, the Bills at this point, believe it or not, this is really a lead story. The Bills are 2-0. Wow. Anyway, so there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm this coming Sunday against the Bengals. So,
can I jump in on this one?
Okay.
Congressman Tom Reed posted on Twitter, quote, when you have a $15 billion profit a year in the NFL, do we really need to be nickel and diming our neighbors and friends who enjoy the tailgate experience? To me, it's not fair. Nothing more than a money grab. Leave the tailgaters alone.
Well, that sounds good. But further on in the story, which I got from, we already got this, just hit the microphone, that's good, from the Buffalo News, permits for bus and limousine parking will cost more this season, Major said, and the designated parking lot is called Tailgate Village, with service by Tailgate Guys. It's a national firm that supplies tables, chairs, and the rest of the essentials for a tailgate party. Cost varies depending on the number of passengers, size of the vehicle, and the tailgating service ordered. Buses and or limo buses that do not order tailgate service pay $100 for a parking permit. If a bus or limo shows up without that, it won't be allowed to park in the lot and will be directed elsewhere. And the number of permits sold are down, but we expected that with the increase in cost, a change in the program. So it will cost you a little more this year. So, also, let me see. They're going to be a heavy presence of law enforcement. 300 law enforcement personnel and another 300 private security personnel are going to be assigned to stadium grounds. Orchard Park will also increase its game day patrols on roads around the stadium. And let me see, Orchard Park Police Captain Patrick Fitzgerald said, will be enforcing the open container law on roads around the stadium. And there's also going to be, includes Skywatch. That's the surveillance tower on loan from the Buffalo PD. The observation deck on wheels stretches 25 feet into the air and will be set up in the bus and limo parking lot, equipped with powerful high-definition cameras, he says. It allows officers to monitor activity hundreds of yards away in large crowds. And the biggest concern for team officials was to address unruly behavior in the bus parking lot, where fans were known to dive from school bus roofs onto tables that had been set on fire. Boy, that sounds like a lot of fun. So you have people jumping headfirst off school bus roofs onto tables that have been set on fire. Yes, sir. That's right. This is Bill's country, baby. Here you go. Okay, so that's what's going to be going on there. Or let's hope it's not going on there. Let me see. What else? Oh, that's right. This is... Where did I find this? I don't know where I found it. I don't know. Anyway, it's National School Backpack Awareness Day. National School Backpack Awareness Day. And that's kind of interesting. Maybe only because I'm an old guy, but I don't remember when kids started to wear carry backpacks at school. Because they sure didn't years and years and years ago. We would carry our books. You know, first you'd have your hardbound 3-ring binder on the bottom, and then you'd pile all your books on top of that, and you carry them around. But now we have backpacks, and we have for a long time, I guess. Brian, do you know anything about, like, when maybe, I don't know when you were in school, I have no idea, but did kids carry backpacks when you were in school?
Yes.
Oh, they really?
Yes.
Huh. Okay.
I had one.
Really? So they've been around for a while here. Well, they weren't when I was young, okay? I remember when I was young, we had horn books. That's what we had, and quill pens and all that. Anyway, but things have changed a lot for kids, you know. They're carrying these backpacks around, and it's got to be bad on your back, I think, unless you know how to pack a backpack. But it's got to be hard carrying that thing, I mean, all day long. And all these kids have backpacks. I don't know. I thought it was easy carrying books, but apparently it's not anymore, and they have these backpacks. And things have changed a lot for kids. I mean, school has really changed dramatically. I have said this a gazillion times in the past. I'm glad I was in school when I was, because it was a lot easier and simpler and safer years ago. Of course, now that was in the age of like Leave It to Beaver, right? 1960 or 61. And things are not, you know, this is not the Leave It to Beaver world anymore. Because if you recall, at the beginning of the show, let me see, Wally and Beaver would walk out the front door of their house, and they're going to school, right? And that's how the show would start. It would show June Cleaver and, what was the guy's name? Ward Cleaver and June, and then Wally and Beaver, right? So now, with, you know, the times and our culture being the way it is, I can imagine the beginning of the show being a little different. So Beaver and Wally walk out the front door, or they're walking out the front door, and they're on their way to school. But because these times are different, you can imagine the dialogue going something like this. And Beaver says, "Gee, Wally, I can't find my bullet-resistant backpack. Have you seen it?" And Wally goes, "Gosh, no, Beav, but here, take mine. I'll just wear my spare flak jacket." I mean, things are a lot more complicated now than they were, you know. And as I said, I'm glad I was in school when I was, because it was a lot easier, a whole bunch easier. Okay, what else? Well, I mentioned yesterday that most American teens are frightened by climate change. Poll finds, this is the Washington Post, and about 1 in 4 are taking action. But the story dealt with how frightened teenagers are, and they're totally solidly convinced that climate change is going to kill everybody in pretty short order. And that was according to a Washington Post Kaiser Family Foundation poll. And roughly 1 in 4 teenagers have participated in a walkout, attended a rally, or written to a public official to express their views on global warming, which they all find very, very frightening. And more than 7 in 10 teenagers and young adults say climate change will cause a moderate or great deal of harm to people in their generation. That's 7 out of 10 are afraid of climate change. Probably maybe taking their cue from AOC, if you recall, that's right. She gets up at 3:30 in the morning, even on vacation, and she's freaked about climate change. Very, very concerned, and gets all sad and, you know, depressed and all that. But that's nothing. Okay, AOC gets up at 3:30 in the morning worrying about climate change. But this, do I have time? I don't know. Well, this blows that right out of the water. This I got from the Daily Beast. This is called climate anxiety groups. Climate anxiety groups are the new self-care. And it starts off, there were dance parties, DJ sets, drum classes, and tutu-making workshops. Still, despite the buoyant mood, it wasn't just another festival tailor-made for glossy Instagram photos. Instead, Catharsis on the Mall, which was inspired by Burning Man and took place on the National Mall in May, had a different aim: healing. Not surprisingly, part of the conversation included climate change, and within 24 hours of a climate anxiety session being announced, climate anxiety session, all the seats were reserved. Amid laughter and ambient festival noise, 30 people gathered in a hot tent and sat on rugs and lawn chairs to talk about their feelings of despair, depression, and anxiety. Let me see. This is Debbie Chang. She's a volunteer with the D.C. chapter of Citizens Climate Lobby, and she led this little thing there. Attendees were asked to jot down emotions they felt when thinking about climate change and elaborate within small groups. After exploring the emotions, Chang led a discussion about coping mechanisms, including breathing exercises, yoga, meditation, and stretching. We're talking about climate change here, okay? Breathing exercises, yoga, meditation, and stretching. As part of staying grounded in the work, the group also discussed what aspects of the movement made them hopeful. In naming those hopes, they were tasked with envisioning an ideal future and to imagine the first baby step they could take toward actualizing it. Okay. Chang's meetup is part of a growing movement of support spaces that have sprung up around the country. As activists seek to stay engaged, they are increasingly grappling with the challenges of what has become known as climate anxiety or climate depression. I am not making this up, by the way. I am not making this up. It's right here. It's right here in front of me. Let me see. What? Somebody. Okay. Alex Trope, a resident physician at the University of California in San Francisco within the Department of Psychiatry, says it's the 11th hour. People are going to feel that now. Trope is a member of Climate Psychiatry Alliance, a group comprised of psychiatrists who believe that mental health is significantly impacted by the changing climate and requires more clinicians to be well-versed in the concerns of activists. In addition to ideas on how to take tangible and meaningful action, the Alliance is working to build a list of climate-aware therapists. Climate-aware, I have a wood-burning set at home. I can make a little sign and hang it on the front of the house. I could pass myself off as a climate-aware therapist. Who knows? Hey, there are crazy people all over the place. I mean, who knows what might wander in there. Anyway, so, climate anxiety. Climate anxiety. Okay, fine. Well, no need to feel anxious about insurance. Okay? You need insurance. Can't get around it. Everybody needs insurance. You need it. I need it. Everybody needs insurance. Well, you can't do any better anywhere on the planet than the Ryan agencies. And guess what? They're right here in Hornell and Jasper and Wellsville. They're local, I just said that. They're insurance experts. They offer sound, friendly local people. They have access to all kinds of insurance companies, and they will find the best one for you and your needs. They are the Ryan agencies.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Ralph Irvin.
Plenty of news from the NFL where Drew Brees will have surgery Wednesday on his injured right thumb. He is expected to miss 6 weeks of action. He could return after the Saints' bye. That would be in Week 10 that he would make his return. Meanwhile, the New York Giants making a quarterbacking decision, benching Eli Manning and naming rookie Daniel Jones as the starter. They play Tampa Bay this week. Trevor Siemian out for the year, torn ligaments in his ankle. Of course, the starter for the Jets. At the start of the season, Sam Darnold's been out with mono. He's hoping to return for Week 5 when the team plays Dallas. Tuesday night in Major League Baseball, Cincinnati is a 4-2 winner over the Cubs. Chicago now tied with Milwaukee for the final National League wildcard spot. That's because the Brewers beat San Diego 3-1 for their 4th straight win. Houston has won 4 straight. They beat Texas 4-1. The Astros' magic number is now 3. Of course, you can get all the scores at foxsports.com.
From the Fox Business Network, aviation safety regulators from around the world will be briefed next week by the FAA on the status of Boeing 737 MAX planes. The jets have been grounded since March after the second fatal crash of a MAX. Reuters says FAA Chief Steve Dixon invited about 50 safety officials to an informal meeting. FedEx is lowering its expectations for the year. The delivery company lost Amazon as a major customer recently. It's spending more to expand residential ground delivery. And FedEx also says the slowdown in the global economy and increasing trade tensions are expected to impact its business. The Federal Reserve is expected to lower interest rates today. The Dow Jones Industrials added 33 yesterday. The Nasdaq was up 32. The S&P up 7. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
Ever wonder why Europeans speak so many languages? Maybe it's because they use Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons and award-winning technology can have you speaking Spanish, French, or German within weeks.
I always thought I was bad at languages, but after using Babbel, I can tell you I was just taught the wrong way.
Now, try Babbel free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try for free.
Today at Simmons Rockwell Hyundai. Drive away in a new Hyundai Tucson lease for only $229 a month. A new 2019 all-wheel drive Hyundai Tucson SE model equipped with 17-inch alloy wheels, touchscreen media, and rear view monitor. Lease with no money down for $229 a month for 36 months. Only tax and DMV fees are due at signing. Shop Simmons-Rockwell.com.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sitting here all depressed over the environment and climate change. I'm really depressed. This is terrible. Good grief. Anyway, okay, let's see here. Yesterday, of course, was Constitution Day, and there was a survey released, oddly enough, by the Annenberg Constitution Day Civics Survey. Okay, and a study conducted by the Annenberg Public Policy Center at the University of Pennsylvania. So there's good and bad news, it says here, when it comes to Americans' knowledge of how their government functions. Okay? Now, according to this survey, let me see. The survey was of 1,104 adults. The American public knows more now about the Constitution and the concept of separation of powers than in the previous 5 years. So that's not bad. However, the bad news is that only about 4 in 10 adults can correctly name the 3 branches of U.S. government. And what are the 3 branches of government, class? That's right, executive, legislative, and judicial. 3 branches. And let me see, in case you're right, yes. While this is the highest mark in the last 5 years, that's good. It still leaves room for improvement. So only 4 in 10 adults can name, but that's better than it's been. Okay. And nearly a quarter of those surveyed couldn't name a single governmental branch. And still, that's markedly better, it says here, than the previous 2 years when a third of respondents were stumped on the same question. Meanwhile, 1/4 of respondents were able to name 1 branch, 1/4, and 14% remembered only 2. The survey suggested a link between high school civics or government classes and civics knowledge. Those surveyed who said they took high school civics were more likely to know the answers to 6 different knowledge questions, including naming the branches of government, and those who said they are high consumers of print, TV, or online news were also more likely to answer civics questions correctly. So while this remains an improvement, says Kathleen Jameson, director of the Annenberg Public Policy Center, while this is an improvement, the overall results remain kind of dismal. So a quarter of U.S. adults can name only 1 of the 3 branches of government. And, you know, it's really interesting because we vote. How can you be an informed voter if you don't know how the government works? I don't know about that. It'd be hard to be informed if you don't even know how the government works. And also further on to the survey, people don't know their congressman, they don't know their assemblyman, they don't know, state senator, I don't know. It's kind of scary, I guess. Okay, that's it for this morning show, and I will see you tomorrow at 8:05. Bye.